A birthday celebration turns deadly in Queens. A 27-year-old off-duty school safety agent was killed and her two friends were wounded when a gunman opened fire outside a bar in Astoria.
It's 4 a.m. on December 23, 2021. What was supposed to be the best night of Mai Johnson's life just became her last. 27-year-old Mai lies bleeding on the cold pavement. Her twin sister screams. Her boyfriend clutches his wounds. Blood pools around them as sirens wail in the distance. Just hours earlier, Mai was laughing, dancing, celebrating her birthday with the people she loved most. She had no idea that someone from her past was waiting outside in the shadows. Someone who couldn't let her go. Someone who had been denied entry to the club earlier that night because he was carrying a gun. Mai Johnson wasn't just any victim. She was an NYPD school safety agent, a protector, a mother to a 7-year-old boy who would never see his mom come home again. The shooter? Her ex-boyfriend, Quason Williams. He had waited for hours outside that club, seething with jealousy as Mai celebrated inside with her new boyfriend. Have you ever had a celebration turn dangerous because of someone from your past? Let me know in the comments. Williams thought he could get away with murder. He jumped into his white BMW and sped away, leaving 3 people bleeding on the street. He crossed state lines and lived free for months while Mai's family planned her funeral. But what happened next will shock you, because this case reveals terrifying flaws in our justice system that almost let a killer walk free forever. Welcome to our channel. Right now there are thousands of women like Mai Johnson who are trying to move on with their lives, completely unaware that their ex-partners are planning something deadly. If you want to help spread awareness about domestic violence and the warning signs that could save lives, then please like this video, share it, and subscribe to this channel. Your action now could help protect another woman who might be in danger. To understand the full tragedy of what happened that night, you need to know who Mai Johnson really was. Mai wasn't just another name in the headlines. She was a real person with a real life, real dreams, and real people who loved her. In June 2017, Mai joined the NYPD School Safety Division. She was assigned to JHS 117 in Brooklyn, where she spent her days protecting children. Being a school safety agent isn't easy work. You deal with troubled kids, worried parents, and dangerous situations. But Mai loved it. Her colleagues remember her as someone who truly cared. She didn't just see her job as a paycheck, she saw it as a calling. Every day she walked into that school, knowing she was making a difference in young people's lives. But Mai's most important job wasn't at school. It was at home, being a mother to her 7-year-old son. Friends say Mai lived for that little boy. Everything she did was for him. She worked hard to give him a good life, a safe home, and a bright future. She was the kind of mom who never missed a school event, who helped with homework every night, who made sure her son knew he was loved. Mai also had an incredibly close relationship with her twin sister. They were more than siblings, they were best friends. They talked every day, shared everything, and supported each other through good times and bad. But something had changed in Mai's life. Since July 2020, she had been on medical leave from her job. Nobody talks about why she needed that time away. Was she dealing with stress, health problems, personal issues? What we do know is that by December 2021, Mai seemed ready to celebrate life again. She was happy, excited about her birthday, and looking forward to the future. She had no idea that her past was about to destroy everything. Now let's talk about the man who would destroy Mai's life. Quason Williams. Williams was 29 years old and lived in New Jersey. At some point, he and Mai had been in a relationship. We don't know exactly how long they dated or when things ended, but what we do know is that Williams couldn't accept that it was over. By December 2021, Mai had moved on. She was dating Deshaun Parker, and from all accounts, she seemed happy with him. Parker was also celebrating his birthday that same weekend, which is why he was part of the group at Soleto nightclub. But while Mai was building a new relationship and trying to move forward with her life, Williams was stuck in the past. He couldn't let go of what they once had. He couldn't accept that Mai had chosen someone else. This is where the story gets really disturbing. Williams knew where Mai would be that night. He knew she was celebrating her birthday at Soledo. He knew she would be with Parker, and he made a decision that would change everything. Williams didn't just randomly show up at the club. He came prepared. He brought a gun. He had every intention of confronting Mai and her new boyfriend. When Williams tried to enter Soledo earlier that evening, the bouncer stopped him. The bouncer saw that Williams was armed and refused to let him inside. This should have been the end of it. A normal person would have left. A normal person would have gone home. But Williams wasn't thinking normally. His jealousy and anger had taken over completely. Instead of leaving, he waited. For hours. In the cold December night, Williams stayed outside that club, watching and planning. He knew Mai would have to come out eventually, and when she did, he would be ready. This kind of behavior shows us something terrifying about Williams's mindset. This wasn't a crime of passion or a moment of anger. This was calculated. This was planned. This was the behavior of someone who had become dangerously obsessed. What warning signs do you think friends and family should watch for in situations like this? Have you ever seen someone struggle to let go of a relationship? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The truth is, Williams had already crossed several dangerous lines before that night. He was stalking Mai's movements. He was tracking her social life. He was preparing for violence. And unfortunately, no one was able to stop what was coming next. December 22, 2021 started as a perfect night for celebration. Mai Johnson was turning 27, and her twin sister was also celebrating her birthday. Dashawn Parker's birthday was the next day, making it a triple celebration. The group chose Soledo nightclub on Steinway Street in Astoria, Queens. Soledo was known as one of the hottest spots in the area, a place where people came to dance, drink, and have a good time. The music was loud, the drinks were flowing, and the atmosphere was electric. Mai looked beautiful that night. She had gotten dressed up for her special day, and friends later said they hadn't seen her that happy in a long time. She was laughing, dancing, and enjoying every moment with the people she loved most. Her twin sister was right there beside her, sharing in the joy of their birthday. Dashawn was attentive and caring, making sure Mai felt special on her big night. Their friends surrounded them, creating a bubble of happiness and celebration. Inside the club, everything was perfect. The group was having the time of their lives. They were taking photos, making toasts, and creating memories that should have lasted a lifetime. But outside, something dark was happening. Earlier that evening, Croissant Williams had arrived at Soledo. He walked up to the entrance, ready to go inside, but the bouncer stopped him. The security guard could see that Williams was carrying a gun, and club policy was clear: no weapons allowed. Williams was turned away at the door. He was denied entry to the very place where his ex-girlfriend was celebrating her birthday with another man. Most people would have taken this as a sign to leave. Most people would have gone home, cooled off, and moved on with their lives. But Williams wasn't most people. Instead of leaving, he made a choice that would prove deadly. He decided to wait. For hours, Williams stayed outside Soledo nightclub. He found a spot where he could watch the entrance. He knew that eventually Mai and her group would have to come out, and when they did, he would be ready. Think about how twisted this is. While Mai was inside celebrating her birthday, laughing with her sister and enjoying time with her boyfriend, her ex was outside in the cold, watching and planning. Williams had hours to change his mind, hours to walk away, hours to make a different choice. But his jealousy and anger had consumed him completely. As the night went on, the party inside continued. Mai and her friends had no idea what was waiting for them outside. They were living in the moment, celebrating life, and feeling safe and happy. The club stayed busy until the early morning hours. People were dancing, drinking, and having fun. The energy was high and everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves. But as 4 a.m. approached, the club started winding down. Last call had been announced. The music was getting softer. People were starting to gather their things and prepare to leave. Williams knew his moment was coming. At 4 a.m., Soleto nightclub was closing down. The music had stopped, the lights were coming on, and people were making their way to the exits. Mai Johnson walked out of the club with her twin sister, her boyfriend Deshaun Parker, and their friends. They were still in good spirits, talking and laughing as they stepped onto Steinway Street. The night had been everything Mai had hoped for. A perfect birthday celebration with the people she cared about most. But their joy was about to turn into a nightmare. Quason Williams was waiting for them. After hours of standing outside in the cold December night, he finally saw his chance. As soon as Mai and her group appeared, Williams made his move. He walked straight toward them. There was no hesitation, no second thoughts. Williams had spent hours planning this moment, and now he was ready to act. The confrontation started immediately. Williams went directly for Deshaun Parker. He didn't try to talk to Mai first. He didn't ask for a private conversation. He went straight for the man who had taken his place in Mai's life. Witnesses say the argument between Williams and Parker escalated fast. Both men were angry. Both men were shouting. The tension was immediate and intense. Mai and her friends tried to calm the situation down. Her twin sister was there, watching in horror as the confrontation grew more heated. Other people on the street started to notice what was happening. But Williams wasn't interested in talking. He wasn't interested in working things out peacefully. He had come there with a gun, and he was prepared to use it. The verbal argument lasted only minutes. Both men were yelling at each other, making threats, and getting more aggressive by the second. The situation was spinning out of control fast. Then, in a split second, everything changed. Both Williams and Parker drew their weapons. Two men, both armed, both ready to fight over the same woman. What had started as an argument was now a deadly standoff right there on Steinway Street. Mai was caught in the middle. She was standing between two armed men who were about to start shooting at each other. She had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The gunfire started almost immediately. Williams and Parker began shooting at each other with innocent people all around them. The quiet morning air was shattered by the sound of gunshots. Mai was hit first. 3 bullets struck her body, 1 in the torso and 2 in her legs. She fell to the ground, bleeding heavily from multiple wounds. Parker was also hit. 2 bullets found their target, striking him in the buttocks and shoulder. He went down, but was still alive. A 27-year-old woman who was with Mai's group was also caught in the crossfire. She was shot in the knee and fell to the pavement, crying out in pain.
My leg, baby!
The shooting lasted maybe 30 seconds, but the damage was devastating. 3 people were down, bleeding on the street. Mai was hit the worst. The bullets had struck vital areas of her body. Panic erupted on Steinway Street. People were screaming, running for cover, diving behind cars. Some witnesses called 911 immediately. Others were too shocked to move. Williams looked at what he had done. He saw Mai lying on the ground, bleeding from multiple gunshot wounds. He saw Parker wounded but alive. He saw the chaos and terror he had created. And then he ran. Williams didn't check on Mai. He didn't try to help the people he had shot. He didn't wait for police or paramedics. Instead, he turned and ran toward his white BMW, which was parked nearby. He jumped into the car and sped away from the scene. Williams floored the gas pedal and raced through the streets of Queens, desperate to get as far away as possible from what he had just done. Behind him, Mai Johnson was dying on the cold pavement. Her twin sister was screaming for help. Parker was trying to stay conscious despite his wounds. Their friend was crying in pain from the bullet in her knee. Sirens were already wailing in the distance. Someone had called 911 and help was on the way. But for Mai, it might already be too late. The birthday celebration that had started with so much joy and laughter had ended in blood, terror, and tragedy. Paramedics arrived at the scene within minutes of the 911 calls. They found 3 people bleeding on Steinway Street outside Soleto nightclub. The situation was critical. Mai Johnson was in the worst condition. She had been shot 3 times and was losing a lot of blood. The paramedics worked quickly to stabilize her before loading her into the ambulance. Deshaun Parker was conscious but in serious pain from his gunshot wounds to the buttocks and shoulder. The 27-year-old woman who had been shot in the knee was also alert and talking to the medical team. All 3 victims were rushed to Mount Sinai Hospital in Queens. The emergency room staff was ready for them, and doctors immediately began working to save their lives. But for Mai, the damage was too severe. The bullets had hit vital organs, and she had lost too much blood. Despite the best efforts of the medical team, Mai Johnson was pronounced dead at the hospital. She was just 27 years old, a mother, a protector of children, a beloved daughter and sister. Her life was over because one man couldn't accept that their relationship had ended. Parker and the other woman survived their injuries. They were treated at the hospital and eventually released, but they would carry the physical and emotional scars of that night forever. While doctors were fighting to save lives at the hospital, Quason Williams was racing through Queens in his white BMW. He knew he had to get out of New York fast. Williams drove straight to the George Washington Bridge. He crossed from New York into New Jersey, thinking that putting state lines between him and the crime scene would keep him safe. But here's where the story takes an incredible turn. Just minutes after Williams crossed into New Jersey, he was pulled over by local police. The New Jersey officers had stopped Williams for a traffic violation. They had no idea that the man sitting in front of them had just committed murder. They didn't know that 3 people had been shot in Queens. They had no information about the white BMW that witnesses had seen fleeing the scene. The officers wrote Williams a ticket and let him go. Think about that for a moment. The killer was in police custody just minutes after the shooting, and they released him. If communication between the New York and New Jersey police departments had been faster, Williams might have been arrested that night. Instead, he drove away, a free man. Back in Queens, the investigation was just beginning. Police had secured the crime scene and were interviewing witnesses. Video cameras from nearby businesses had captured parts of the shooting. The evidence quickly pointed to a confrontation between 2 armed men. Investigators learned that both Williams and Parker had fired their weapons during the shootout. This led to a shocking development. In December 2021, just days after the shooting, Parker was arrested. Even though he was a victim who had been shot twice, he was charged with weapons possession and an outstanding parole warrant. Evidence showed that Parker had also fired his gun during the confrontation with Williams. Prosecutors later upgraded his charges to attempted murder, arguing that he had participated in the gunfight that killed Mai. Parker has been held without bail on Rikers Island since his arrest. His case shows how complicated this shooting really was. 2 men with guns, both firing, with an innocent woman caught in the middle. The NYPD and the community were devastated by Mai's death. The School Safety Division released a statement saying, "Today, we tragically lost one of our school safety agents, SSA Mai Johnson. The entire School Safety Division sends thoughts and prayers to the family and friends of Mai." But Williams was still free, and the manhunt was just beginning. For 2.5 months, Quason Williams lived as a free man. While Mai Johnson's family was planning her funeral and her 7-year-old son was asking why mommy wasn't coming home, Williams was going about his normal life in New Jersey. The NYPD had identified Williams as their prime suspect almost immediately. Witnesses had seen him at the scene. Video footage from the club showed him trying to get inside earlier that night. The evidence against him was strong. But finding Williams was another matter. He had crossed state lines and disappeared into New Jersey. He wasn't answering his phone. He wasn't at his known addresses. He had effectively vanished. Police put out alerts and shared Williams' information with law enforcement agencies across the region. They knew he was dangerous and likely still armed, but weeks passed with no sign of him. Meanwhile, Mai's family was living in agony. They knew who had killed their daughter, their sister, their son's mother. They knew his name and his face. but he was walking free while they were planning a funeral. The investigation continued throughout January and February 2022. Detectives followed every lead, checked every possible location, and worked with New Jersey authorities to track Williams down. Finally, on March 3, 2022, their hard work paid off. Williams was arrested in New Jersey more than 2 months after he had murdered Mai Johnson. The arrest was the result of careful police work and cooperation between New York and New Jersey law enforcement. Williams had been hiding, but he couldn't stay invisible forever. On March 9, 2022, Williams was extradited from New Jersey back to Queens. He was brought before Queens Criminal Court Judge Tony Cimino to face the charges against him. Williams was charged with attempted murder and criminal possession of a weapon. You might wonder why he wasn't charged with murder since Mai Johnson was clearly dead. The legal reasoning behind the attempted murder charge relates to the complex nature of the shooting and how prosecutors decided to handle the case. The charges were serious enough to keep Williams behind bars. He was remanded to jail without bail, meaning he would stay locked up while waiting for his trial. Williams appeared in court with his lawyer, Jose Nieves. The legal proceedings were just beginning, but at least Williams was finally in custody. For Mai's family, the arrest brought some relief, but it couldn't bring back their loved one. Her 7-year-old son would still grow up without his mother. Her twin sister would still have to live with the memory of watching her sister die. Her colleagues at the NYPD would still mourn the loss of a dedicated school safety agent. The arrest also highlighted serious problems with the justice system. Williams had been stopped by police just minutes after the shooting, but poor communication between departments had allowed him to escape. He had lived free for months while the family of his victim suffered. Williams was indicted by a grand jury and remained in jail awaiting trial, but no one has been specifically charged with firing the shots that killed Mai Johnson. The murder of Mai Johnson shows us how deadly intimate partner violence can become when combined with easy access to guns. Williams displayed classic warning signs that we all need to watch for. He couldn't accept that his relationship with Mai was over. He tracked her movements and knew where she would be that night. He came prepared with a weapon, showing this wasn't a sudden decision but a planned attack. These are red flags that friends and family should never ignore. When someone can't let go of an ex-partner, when they show up uninvited to events, when they make threats or display obsessive behavior, these are signs that the situation could turn dangerous. The presence of firearms made this situation deadly. Research shows that domestic violence incidents are 5 times more likely to be fatal when a gun is involved. Both Williams and Parker were armed that night, turning an argument into a shootout that killed an innocent woman. Our justice system also failed Mai. Williams was stopped by police just minutes after the shooting, but was released because departments didn't communicate fast enough. Better coordination between law enforcement agencies could have prevented his 2-month escape. The club bouncer actually did everything right by refusing to let Williams inside with his gun, but there was no system in place to alert police that an armed, angry ex-boyfriend was waiting outside. What do you think could have prevented this tragedy? Have you ever noticed warning signs in someone's relationship that worried you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Mai Johnson's death wasn't just a random act of violence. It was the result of systems and people failing to protect a woman whose only crime was trying to move on with her life. Mai Johnson was more than just a victim in a news story. She was a real person who made a real difference in the world. For 4 years, Mai protected children at JHS 117 in Brooklyn. She was the person students could turn to when they felt unsafe. She was the adult who stood between danger and innocent kids. She dedicated her career to keeping others safe, but when she needed protection, the system failed her. My 7-year-old son will grow up without his mother. He'll never get another hug, another bedtime story, or another birthday celebration with the woman who loved him most. Her twin sister lost her best friend and closest companion. Her family lost a daughter who brought joy and purpose to their lives. The NYPD School Safety Division lost a dedicated officer who truly cared about her job. The students at JHS 117 lost someone who watched over them every day. But my story doesn't have to be meaningless. Her death can serve as a wake-up call about the dangers of intimate partner violence and the deadly combination of jealousy and guns. We can honor Mai's memory by paying attention to the warning signs around us, by supporting friends who might be in dangerous relationships, by demanding better communication between police departments, by working to keep guns away from people who have shown they're willing to use violence against their partners. Mai Johnson spent her life protecting others. Now it's our turn to protect people like her. Her legacy should be a safer world where no one else has to die because someone couldn't let go.